Hello, welcome to SFLiberalBuzz. We were going to have David Campos on today, but I don't think he's going to make it. He has other engagement. He has to do a house party tonight, and he needs to raise the funds, so I think he's better off doing that for now. He could be on a future show. We've asked David Chu and David Campos both, and they both indicated they would love to be on the show. So
he's currently running for state assembly. So
they're both of them are DC for the state assembly, and they're both friends of ours, friends of Axis of Love, friends of the show, and they're both progressive to a degree in different ways, of course. So I'm going to get to the Twitter first of all, and if you give me a follow, I'll follow you back. So first of all, a stingray is a device that mimics a cell phone tower to harvest your information. And so that's Spying Tactics and Remedies. That show is going to air tomorrow on Axis of Love show at 6 p.m. on channel 29. And this is a 28-minute show. It's very interesting. It talks about a stingray. If it's if you're in proximity of one, it will act like a cell phone tower and intercept your messages.
And did you happen to know that New York City is the highest city in the United States with constant live surveillance?
Yeah, and London's the biggest in the world.
They're mimicking London, yes.
Yes, we're copying all the... New York, we're copying a lot of their tactics. Stop and frisk, they have that here now. They don't call it that, but that's what it is. I see it every day. And why are Mayor Lee's allies trying to oust a good police commissioner? Talking about Angela Chan, who has been kind to immigrant community by allowing her friend to speak up and about immigrants being overly, just too much enforcement in the immigrant community. And also, well, the issues. Let's get back to this, the cops and Mayor Lee's allies ousting a good police commissioner. Now, David Campos was going to be on today. Unfortunately, he won't make it, but he has a little bit to do with that story about
I would love to hear his
politicians.
I would love to hear his analysis of this.
And yeah, you could go to that article and read the East Bay Express. It's very interesting. So I'm getting probably a text from him right now. So, hey Nate.
So we are currently on Denise's Twitter page talking about cops and politicians, which hopefully Supervisor Campos can actually
27,
show up soon. And right now Denise is finding out with his assistant if Supervisor Campos will be on the way.
Now.
So as we're going to be slowly going down the Twitter feed in a moment here.
Okay, I gotta go. I'm on the air. Bye-bye. If you can make it, that'd be great. All right. So they're going to rush him over.
Okay, good.
So the GOP agenda, Republicans support Nestle's with ALEC bills, American Legislative Exchange Commission, state by state. So they think that the owner of Nestle's thinks that access to water should not be a public right.
I thought every single doctor in the world would significantly tell you that the basic survival of life is water, air, and food. I'm like, you need water to survive. The human body can go 30 days without food, but not 7 days without water.
And they, there's talk of water wasters. They took water from the farmers and to use it. Well, I don't even have to talk about the drought we're having. It's
exactly. San Francisco is a prime example of a waste of water right now in this drought, because according to a security guard at the Asian Art Museum, they quote-unquote sporadically water the lawns. This is a totally entire waste of resources and funds in itself.
Absolutely. Don't let and now the U.S. solar capacity is up 418% since 2010, and the Koch brothers demand a tax on the sun, and they discourage people in Oklahoma. The bill is, it's spreading like a cancer, these crazy ideas that come from the right wing. That's the Koch brothers, the right wing.
I used to question, why would they put a tax on bottled water? I mean, water is one of the world's most natural resources. I understand tax in the actually petroleum product called the plastic itself. Now, why would you want to tax a free energy source called the sun? Solar energy. It's free. It's been going on for 4.5 billion years. Come on.
Yep, that's it. And don't let the FCC break the internet. Now, there's, they're talking about this net neutrality coming to an end where perhaps if you want to go to YouTube, you'll pay $5 a month instead of just paying for your internet service and having it cover all of it. So we won't have equal access to all websites. It'll be easier to get to Fox News than anything else. So doesn't that sound like a little bit of something out of Animal Farm? Something out of George Orwell.
Approximately 17 years ago, I believe it was the U.S. Congress tried to pass a bill allowing companies to make profit every time you click your mouse button on a web page. This is the same malarkey.
Vulture capitalism. And there's a fact that if you want to sign the petition for net neutrality, just go to my Twitter feed, by the way, Denise Dory, and you look through my tweets, and it's not far down from the top.
See it right there on the screen.
Yeah, cannabis helps kill MRSA and disrupts prion diseases such as mad cow disease. So that MRSA is resistant staph infections that are just really creepy. It's a sore that won't go away. They have to dig your flesh out, literally.
Yeah, the World Health Organization stated that this is becoming more deadly than AIDS because it's a very resistant bacteria. You can die from a scratch.
And the state Senate panel advances medical marijuana regulations without patient input. So that means that the sheriffs want to control or have these new regulations. I think it's 1260, Senate Bill 1262. They got it to the Senate, and they actually want to take each doctor and only allow a cannabis doctor to prescribe 100 cannabis letters. They really shouldn't have cops and doctors just don't mix. They really don't.
You know, Denise, since Supervisor Campos is currently running for state assembly, maybe we should ask him about this new regulation the state wants to pass.
Totally. I've got that written down here about Tom Amiano's bill ABC, which wants to regulate it like alcohol, which is, it's not alcohol. Alcohol is a deadly substance, and cannabis is not. So why should it be subject to the same regulations? So that's what we've got there.
To be an addictive substance, I believe there has to be withdrawal symptoms coming on.
Exactly.
There's withdrawal symptoms from alcohol. There's withdrawal symptoms from caffeine. There's a withdrawal symptom from heroin. There's a withdrawal symptom from nicotine. Yes.
All that. And food.
Exactly.
And so FCC in a shift backs fast lanes for web traffic, not good for net neutrality. So there was that. It's unequal access equals censorship, and it does. It's if you can't get to a smaller website like, say, Daily Kos or Change.org, then it's not equal. So the Google Tech need the philanthropy lesson is not really. I think we just need to build more houses for them and where there's room.
More affordable, low-income housing.
And Noam Chomsky helps explain the Fox effect. That's a good article. And Ed Lee said that tech workers have the same issues as everyone else, and I'm not going to say they don't because I'm not a tech worker. I can't really say. Now, I was taking a video. This is the next tweet. I took a video of a DVR news show on an LG flat screen, and we were being watched by it. So it wasn't a reflection. It was actually our image coming out. And then last week we talked about Ban the Box, Fair Chance. So you can watch that show again. Cities with rising homeless populations respond by banning sleeping in cars.
Do you know why people happen to sleep in cars, Denise?
Because they're homeless.
Yes, but do you know why? There's another reason why people sleep in cars?
They don't want to sleep on the sidewalk.
Well, that's true. And in San Francisco itself, there's approximately, I'm going to say, an average of 6,000 homeless, okay? I know the number's way lower than that, but 6,000 homeless. And approximately 1,200 shelter beds. Everybody who's homeless is not going to be sleeping indoors in a city-funded shelter. If you have a vehicle and you can't get in a shelter, where are you going to sleep? In your vehicle. I do not know anybody who chooses to sleep on a sidewalk or in the park if they're turned away from the shelter and they have a vehicle to sleep in.
I've slept in my car for decades, almost decades. I don't know what it's like. Well, you just make it look like you're not sleeping in it. And the only way they really know is if the windows steam up, so you just don't, there's tricks to stop that from happening too. So anyway.
I wonder, is this because of the very first San Francisco homeless counts where They had 24 test cars and they missed half of them. A test car is to make sure that you can actually count the actual actually count the person who's maybe homeless sleeping in the car. As a little tester. They had 24 of them and they missed half. So, like I said, I threw out 6,000 numbers, number 6,000. I'm not exactly sure how many are homeless in San Francisco. Because you got people sleeping on couches, sleeping in doorways, avoiding the police and being harassed. So the number is not significantly low, I can tell you that.
Well, I've noticed that Glide they're wrapped around the block practically every morning, Glide. So.
It used to be a City Central Tenderloin thing. Toward the first of the month, you can walk in and walk out several times. Now, if you go down to Glide, since tomorrow's the 2nd, I can guarantee you will see a line around the corner. People have gotten their food stamps cut. You can only go to one food pantry according to you can only go to one food pantry according to the program. Sometimes they are not there with services. For instance, there's a food pantry around the corner from my building. A tenant who relies on the weekly food pantry went one Friday morning and there was nobody there. This is one of the reasons why Glide's lines are so long as well as St. Anthony's.
They're the safety net, really. Without them, what would people do?
They would starve.
They kept me alive for a number of years. So, supervisors Breed's plan to put the homeless in public housing. Well, that's a pretty obvious thing to do, but they're not. Are they building any housing? That's the thing. You know,
They're building housing, but not low-income housing.
Well, deeply affordable. Yeah. Even low income, or what do they call it? Affordable housing. Affordable for whom? That's a loaded question, a loaded statement.
The average median income somebody's supposed to pay is 30% of their income toward rents. I mean, you have cities that are like New York and Philadelphia where people pay an average of 50 to 65% of their income toward rents. I mean, how are you supposed to survive and live if you're a family?
Oh, they can't. Everybody has to have a job, and it's just the income disparity is incredibly wide. It's not a gap; it's a canyon. And now the questions I'm going to have for David when he gets here, if he can make it by 6:22, because he said he's coming. We don't want to pay taxes on medical cannabis or limit the number of notes a doctor can write, which is what Tom Amiano wants. He wants to actually tax medical cannabis, abolish medical cannabis, kind of like Washington State did, and have the alcohol beverage control in charge of that. And I know he has said, "I'm sorry we did this to you," you know, but
it's just illogical. Like, for instance, you go to a pharmaceutical company like Rite Aid or Walgreens and you get Xanax over the counter. You tax on that. You get prescription strength Xanax. You're not taxed on that. You get prescription strength over the counter medication. There's no tax on that. It's medication. That's why there's no tax on that currently. Medical cannabis should not be taxed. I totally agree on taxing the recreational. Yes, for the sales of the state and the county.
And there's another thing. If the cannabis is a food, and food shouldn't be taxed.
Exactly.
Think of it as if we can get them to think of it as a food, because I've never eaten any, but I mean
I've eaten cannabis.
Yes, but I mean not. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like hemp seeds, where they make food out of hemp seeds. So I've got. What have I got down?
Yes, I pulled the Bill Clinton. I haven't ingested medical marijuana edibles.
Oh, you just swallowed it.
But I did not throw up.
You swallowed it in a plastic bag, didn't digest it. That's how.
I ate, but I did not throw up.
Now I was going to talk about Mayor Ed Lee's politics looking like the Tea Party when it comes to immigration issues. I was going to ask David about that. So remind me, I'm going to put a mark down there because we have like 5 minutes to talk to him. And I think we need more manufacturing jobs, and I think David's down with that.
We do. It was very upsetting when Levi Strauss left San Francisco. I mean, granted, this school needs more more schools, but it's a historical building, historical product. Levi started here in San Francisco with the 49er, and 49 with the Gold Drive. It's a San Franciscan business, and now it's not there anymore. So, what else do you have on your topics?
Well, I used to drive into San Francisco and smell bread and beer a long time ago, and I know that we can bring manufacturing back. That was I'm going to wrap it up with that.
Yeah, because Savachi, I think it's called Savachi hot sauce, they are trying to be enticed by Texas to leave California, which means more jobs will be lost in California if it goes to Texas.
Well, Texas, they don't regulate anything. I mean, business is booming, literally. They've got gas lines blowing up right next to rest homes because they don't really regulate that stuff. So, like we do. And look at the kids in Oklahoma, in the schools. A whole school full of kids were blown away by a hurricane, tornado, because they didn't build a basement for them like they should do that. And they should have regulations. That's what they're for, to save people's lives. And they're so anti-government until they need something from the government. And then,
I wish my sister was watching right now because she lives in Kansas. She can call in and tell me something about some stuff going on right there. Yeah, I do have a sister who lives in Kansas and Texas. Go figure.
And we haven't built any affordable housing. You were going to talk about affordable housing.
I was, if Supervisor Campos was here in time. Hopefully he does show up.
Oh dear, he's got 6 minutes.
Ooh.
5.5. Oh, poor David. He wanted to come too. And
he is such a great companion to everybody who needs housing. He believes in low income housing, not just housing. Because if you believe in housing, you also believe in condominiums.
well, now I wanted to talk a little. Yeah, condominiums is. Well, I've got these micro apartments now. I don't know what they call them, but I don't know how much they're charging for them. Have you seen them over on Market Street?
I have heard about them, yes.
Yeah, and I guess they're for the tech industry or something.
It's basically a developer's way of increasing living space in San Francisco without actually building any higher property lines, any higher length. Because if you're not aware about San Francisco property, the higher you build up, the more you have to pay.
Mm. Well, they have to get a variance from the building commission.
Planning commission?
Well, yeah. And like, Deborah Walker, that was the building commission too. They have to sign off on it. Now, I want to talk about David Campos and Gary Delanis. Now, David Campos really stood up for the cannabis community back in, I guess it was 2007 when he was police commissioner. He came to one of our meetings, and this made news, by the way. He came to an Axis of Love meeting, and HopeNet had been raided by a cop named Marty Halloran. Officer Marty Halloran was the treasurer for the Police Officers Association, which is they're as powerful as the eye. They're like the eye in the triangle. You don't know what they're doing. Everything's a secret, and they're very powerful and have lots of money. So I'm not going to spread any ugly rumors or jokes that would be sound, but I could make some. But Gary Delanis found out that David Campos came to our group denouncing Marty Halloran's raiding of HopeNet and trashing their stuff. He denounced his actions at HopeNet. So I got it on video and I put it on YouTube, and I guess it got publicized. So the next thing we knew, Gary Delanis was on TV, Channel 2, and I saw him talking about the Axis of Love group and who they are, and a bunch of weed heads and stuff like that. And David that David should resign. So this made the Bay Guardian, and immediately David was known throughout the city as a progressive. Mm-hmm. Whoever read the Bay Guardian knew that David was progressive, and he's just been progressive ever since. And he's really walked the line in the last, I'd say 7 years that we've known him. He's voted almost always the right way with housing, with immigration. It's got to be long. It looks painful. His job looks so painful with all these conservatives that call themselves Democrats. I'm not going to name names because you probably know who they are.
A great politician actually listens to their constituents.
Yes, and he does. He was going to come to my little thing today, but I goofed it up by not contacting his coordinator, which he told me to do, and so I didn't do that.
Yeah, so we apologize again for no Supervisor Campos.
Yeah, I assumed that he was going to come, and I shouldn't. That's what I get for assuming stuff.
Yeah, since we have 2 minutes left on our show.
Yeah, so I'm going to make some announcements now. Voter education. If you want to watch the videos of David Campos and David Chu, I've got an hour and a half videos on Axis of Love TV channel. It's on YouTube, and it's got all three of their debates, the debates of the Davids. So that's on YouTube, Axis of Love TV channel, and you can also go to my Twitter account, Denise Dory, and it's in my tweets. So, and that's
As you can see
right
here.
here.
Here's Denise's name right here.
Yeah, thank you, Eli.
And here's mine right here.
And it was the debate at the library, and it's because it's really unfair. Now we got to get money out of politics. It's so unfair for progressives to have to work ourselves half to death, and to be beaten by big money.
Mm-hmm.
You know that they're paying their they're not volunteers if they're paid, are they? And so I want to really thank David Campos for just being in our corners as often as he has been. He created the Medical Cannabis Task Force for us, and even though we had business leaders and it didn't really mix, it was strange bedfellows, but it was a good attempt. We're all like the blind leading the blind here in the medical cannabis community. We just have to keep it kind and not too profitable for people that would like to take
I mean, everybody
privatize
needs
the
a
medicine.
profit, but how much money does one person actually need?
Yeah, and I want Monsanto to keep their hands off of it too. And the Shelter Pet Project, please adopt a shelter pet. The shelterpetproject.org needs people to adopt their pets. I got one there, and I'm very happy with her.
So find something cuddly and wuddly for you.
Yeah, and also, let's see, Let's Talk Sports is coming up next in 7 more minutes. Our next time slot is on May 15th at 6 p.m. And we're going to get David Chu, hopefully. Bye-bye.